Okay guys, today we are going to be practicing how to blend our color pencils together and make a really nice blend and not a really streaky, strokey look. We want it to look just like when we did our blended pencil point and blended pencil side techniques. We need to overlap our strokes while we do this so that we don't have the big gaps in between them. And smaller strokes are better. Sometimes even you could do circular strokes. So anyways, if you're here at school, you will get this handout. I just drew this up myself and made copies. So those of you that are at home, you can do the same thing in your sketchbook, okay? You don't necessarily need to write all the instructions, but you do need to have your 4 rows. This is about the size of my paper. So you need to make your rectangles about the same size as mine. And then wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and label each one too, okay? And just maybe label the top that says color pencil blending practice. You don't have to write all the instructions, but you will need to upload a picture of your work for your daily attendance and participation grade. So make sure you get that done. All right, so on the first one, it is one color fade to white. So whatever color you want, just select that, and then you're going to just let it fade to white. So I'm going to start my color down here, and I'm going to fade this way because I'm a lefty, and that's easier. But you can start this way and fade that way. Actually, I think which way do I want to go? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to fade. I'm a lefty. I'm going to go that way. So I'm going to start again, just like when we did our color wheel yesterday. I talked about make sure you get up along your edges. A lot of people tend to neglect those edges. So I always kind of like to start that. But you can also go back and get it later. Go back and get it later. But you're going to start with a good amount of color down here. Probably the heaviest we can get the color to be. Okay. Try not to go outside the lines when you do this. But if you do a little bit, that's okay. But you need to work on getting inside lines too, because that's good craftsmanship, and that's something I'm always going to be grading you on. Okay. Okay, so you can see here, I'm going several different directions when I color, and that's something that you should probably get in the habit of doing too. I'm also overlapping my strokes a lot and layering it a lot. That layering and overlapping is what makes it look good and blended, and not streaky. Okay, so that's where a lot of beginners kind of make the mistake is they think that they only need one layer, and that's enough. It's colored. I'm done. But that's not what looks good. Okay, even like I know you get kind of like a texture too. So I'm gonna slowly, as I pull out a little bit farther from the back, I'm going to kind of start fading my colors. And right now it's a little streaky, but I will eventually go back and I'm just trying to pace myself, make sure where I want it to blend and fade. I know where to go. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna slowly kind of get it to fade. And I'm not gonna let it fade. I'm gonna let it fade to white, closer down to the end. The camera can't quite see it, but I do have some color right down here that it'll eventually be a little bit more noticeable. So I'm going to try to just let it kind of disappear right about there into the white. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm going to kind of go back and relayer up some of this. And this could still probably be darker down here. Push as hard as you can so that we have a good range of value. You want dark darks and light lights and a good range in the middle. So that's kind of what this is to help you practice. So I know, while I'm thinking about it, there were several of you guys that when I was grading your 1-point perspective drawings, I had mentioned to overlap your strokes more when you color, to do a couple layers, and that's kind of what we're going over now. So those of you that I mentioned that to, you should really probably be practicing this. Okay? And you just need to learn how to slow down and make it look nice. So again, I'm going several different directions. When I do that, that helps me kind of hide my strokes. There's something on my table that marked right there when I went over it. Let me see if I can kind of, I don't think I can. Oh well. I guess it happened right there too. So I'm just going to keep going. So again, I'm trying to keep my strokes light, and a lot of it's pressure in your hand, but you really don't want to see the strokes. So again, this is taking several times to get it over the way I want it, but that's okay. Now, if you've got yours done faster than me, you probably need to go back over it again. You probably have some streaks in there that you need to blend out. You should not have like a definite part, just like when you're shading, there shouldn't just be a hard edge where your coloring stops. You shouldn't be able to tell where it stops or where it starts to change tones. Okay, we don't want chunks of color. We want a seamless blend and fade. Now, the reason we need to start with knowing how to fade really good, first off, is because this is the technique that we use when we blend into different colors. That we're going to be applying this to all these. Okay, so after you get that one done, which that's probably pretty good. So mine doesn't look too streaky. It's got a really good gradual fade. I've got my really dark color over here, and I got pure white down here, but I've got a gradual change of value throughout. Okay. All right. So this one, we're going to have black blend to a color, fade to white. So when you blend into another color, you still fade. So you're going to fade one color into another, but it's blending when they overlap. So like say, here's one color, they fade, and they're going to overlap to get, I can't quite lay my hands right, to get that blend there, okay? I'm going to go ahead and start with my black. And I want my black to fade well. So if this is kind of how you would do a monochromatic color scheme. That's why I put that there. Monochromatic is one color plus black and white, and then all the tones in between. Okay. So I think I'm going to use, I don't know what color I want to use for this. I'll probably use red. Now, black is, again, that's one of those things, I can always darken this up later if I need to, but if it's too dark, I can't really lighten it. So I'm going to fade my black pretty lightly for now, and I'm going to probably fade it to about the middle, because the middle is probably where I'm going to start my color. And I really cannot stress enough that you should not rush getting good at this technique. This technique is going to help you so much, not just in color pencil, but it's going to help with knowing how to fade and overlap your colors if you're using chalk pastels, oil pastels, crayons, not so much marker. Well, if you're using like the Copics marker, the really good expensive ones, yeah, you'd probably use this technique some there too. But they have a blending pen that helps as well. So I've got my black faded to about the middle. And then this is where I'm going to, I'll go ahead. I'm going to keep with the same color here, just so that you can see the difference of the tones when you overlap it into white or into black, okay? So say I've got my color in the middle. Again, I'm not going to have just like a square of color. I'm not going to have like where one color, where you could easily tell one color starts and one color ends. It should be seamless. I can always darken. But I'm fading this way now. So what I did here, I'm just going opposite into my black. And I'm going to have to overlap it quite a ways. You really do. You want to overlap quite a ways into it, just gradually fading. That's going to give you the best results. If a lot of people just want to overlap just right where the colors meet just a tiny bit, but you really got to overlap it quite a ways into it. So I'm going to carry this tone like all the way, almost down to where the black is really heavy. Okay. I'm going to darken this spot's kind of light. I'm going to darken this a little bit more here for my good smooth value blend. But again, overlap, 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 layer, 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 and then I'll just kind of come over here and let it fade to white over here again. Again, make sure you're getting your edges, good craftsmanship. Always graded on craftsmanship, because if you're sloppy, that's just lazy. If you see your strokes, you need to do another layer. You need to go over it in a different direction. So like right there, that's probably a little too heavy. I think I pressed too hard, so I'm just going to have to blend that a little bit more. And then, you know, white color pencils, you can use them. A lot of people don't use them. But white color pencils are actually pretty handy to help blend and fade too. So if I'm wanting this to fade to white over here, I can go ahead and kind of layer up my white just in case I get too heavy with the green. I can go ahead and slap some white down to kind of prevent that from happening, and then I can go ahead and kind of fade my white a little bit too over into my color. You can kind of tell that it's lightening it up a little bit as I get there. Okay. There. Yeah, that white, just having that base white really helps prevent you from getting too heavy, too dark. And then it's really, with certain brands, you can kind of go back and the white can kind of act as a blender. I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if I can zoom in. It's not going to do a whole lot because I still have some kind of space in between my strokes, but it kind of helps blend the colors a little bit too. Can y'all see that? But also, as I was saying in my lesson yesterday, that certain brands have work well with a colorless blender. And it's just a color pencil that has, it looks just like a color pencil, it's just there's no pigment in the lead. It's just a tip that helps push it around, I guess. Okay. So I would probably, let me zoom that out. Let the camera readjust. I'll call that good for that one. Okay. So now red, blend to orange, blend to yellow. So we're using just our warm colors on this. Okay. So I'm going to start with my darker one again, which is the red. And again, if you're here in class or not, I might tell you this, even if you're at home, I might have you redo it and resubmit it. But if it looks really streaky and strokey and like this, a lot of you guys color like this. If it looks like that, I'm going to tell y'all to do it again. Okay, so slow your roll and layer it up. Hide your strokes. Okay. So again, I'm fading my red. And you can turn, I mean, you probably have seen me turn my page a lot. I don't know if I've done it so much on this one, but I will change, like, whatever's comfortable for me to color. I will change the direction of my paper to help make it more comfortable. So I'm starting to fade this because, again, the yellow or the orange is going to be in the middle. And I need it to gradually fade into that, and then I'll have my orange gradually fade into my red, just like I did on the one above. Oh, you can kind of see, it picks it up more on the camera than it does in front of you, but there's some streakiness back here, so I'm going to go back and kind of layer that and try to get that to blend a little bit better. Should not see where one value changes to another, like a stopping point. They should all be gradual. Keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my orange down kind of here in the middle. Now I could just do red and yellow and fade it, and where they overlap would get orange, but I want you to practice with three different colors. So now I'm going to start fading my orange into my red. And again, I'm not just overlapping right where they meet. I'm overlapping them quite a bit. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. So again, you should not see like a hard line or spot where it changes from orange to red. It should just be very gradual. So I should have yellow, or I should have orange to red, orange to red. Okay. So now I'm going to fade it this way. I'm going to fade it to white over here so that I can fade my yellow into it. Overlap your strokes. Can't say that enough. Okay. Let me kind of start fading it to white right about there. I'm going to pick up with my yellow. I'm starting to fade. I'm carrying it quite a ways into my orange. Again, if you're going faster than me, you're probably not doing it right. You need to slow down, blend your strokes more, overlap it so that you don't see your strokes. So you can kind of also see, or you'll be able to see better maybe on your own, but when the lighter colors really do work as a pretty good little blending tool. I don't like how that happens, so I'm going to blend that out a little bit more. So. And if worst case scenario, if you can't get a spot to lighten up, you can probably just make sure you have a clean eraser, but you could probably lighten it up a little bit with a clean eraser. So I'm going to try to do that. If it's not a clean eraser, you're going to probably put something in there you don't want there. Okay. Carrying it almost just to where that orange is just pure orange. This orange. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to call that one good. And then this next one we are going to do, again, you can't really see like any hard lines where my colors stop and meet. They all kind of just fade into one another. The last one, we'll do blue, blend to yellow, blend to red. So we're using our 3 primary colors. And we are going to, when they overlap, they'll mix the secondary color. Okay? So I'm going to start with my blue. If you're neglecting your edges, I'll probably also tell you to go back and clean those up. So just do it right the first time. And, you know, if you're having a hard time blending the lines, then try circular strokes. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to fade it to white right about there. I'm going to get my yellow going. So again, most people would probably, once they see just that little bit of green, they'd call it good, but that's not a good blend. You really got to get it to gradually fade. And I'm going to have to bring my blue up a little bit more. That's okay. I knew I would. But I always want to start a little bit lighter, easier, and then darken it back up. Okay, so I'm kind of just go ahead and I'm going to come back and fix that, but I'm just going to, while I've got the yellow in my hand, I'm just going to go ahead and fade it the other way too. I'm going to fade it down quite a ways. Okay, I'm going to come back and hit it with my blue again. just have to be really easy in my yellow, because blue and yellow are so different in value. So I've got a, let's see if you can see a little bit better. I've got a blue to blue-green to kind of a green to kind of like a very light yellow-green. I'm trying to get a little bit more yellow-green in here. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and come over here with my red. Fade to white, get those edges, overlap, overlap, overlap. Going back with my yellow, carrying that back a little bit farther so I can get kind of that red-orange blend farther back in here. I'm going to darken up my red down here. Okay. Got a little darker spot there. I'm going to probably go back and fix that. But, so, main point of the lesson, guys, is overlap your strokes. Do several layers. Do several layers of your color pencil. That is the only way to get it to blend without it looking streaky, okay? Or get you a colorless blender. But again, I don't really think those work as well on the cheaper color pencils. I do have some colorless blenders available, but I don't have that many, so I don't have them out. But if you really, really want to try it, I've got some that you can use. So make sure you put your name on it. And if you're in class, turn it into the basket. If you're at home, make sure you upload a picture of it.